Let me tell you something that's not easy to hear, but necessary at some point in your life. You're gonna have to learn how to survive alone. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat in a room so quiet you could hear your own thoughts echo? No phone buzzing, no one calling your name, no one checking in, just silence, stillness. Most people run from that, because in that stillness the truth starts to rise. The truth about your habits, the truth about your mindset, the truth about your fears, and that's uncomfortable. That's why people chase noise. They'd rather drown in distraction than face themselves. But here's what they don't know. Solitude is not weakness. Solitude is training. The strongest individuals you'll ever meet are the ones who know how to be alone and not fall apart. People who don't depend on a crowd to feel complete. They don't crumble when others walk away. They don't lose themselves trying to keep someone else, because they've been in the dark before, and they didn't run. They stayed, they listened, they learned. You see, strength, real, internal, unshakable strength, doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from constant affirmation. It's not handed out in the middle of celebration. It's built when there's no one around to help you carry the weight. It's built when you wake up every day and choose to keep going, even when no one notices, no one applauds, and no one offers a shortcut. Some of the most successful, disciplined, grounded people you see today, they weren't made in the spotlight. They were forged in solitude, late nights, early mornings, repetition, sacrifice, quiet rooms, long walks, deep thought. They had to learn how to motivate themselves when no one was watching, because that's what solitude demands. It asks you, can you encourage yourself when the world is silent? It forces you to become your own teacher, your own coach, your own best friend. You start to set your own standards instead of borrowing someone else's. You stop chasing validation and start living by conviction. But don't confuse being alone with being lonely. There's a difference. Loneliness is the absence of people. Solitude is the presence of purpose. One leaves you empty, the other fills you up. When you learn to sit in solitude, you stop reaching for temporary escapes. You stop numbing your discomfort with shallow company. You stop depending on others to feel whole. Instead, you build yourself from the inside out. You reflect, you grow, you correct yourself, you ask hard questions. You make hard decisions. You dig into the work nobody sees, so one day they can witness the strength you earned. And when you come out of that solitude, you walk differently. Not because you think you're better, but because you know you're stronger. You're grounded, you're focused, you're not pulled by every opinion or trend or drama, because you've already faced the hardest person to face, yourself, and you didn't flinch, you didn't fold, you fought. You struggled, you cried, you got tired, but you kept going, you kept showing up, and let me tell you, that kind of strength, that's not something people can take away from you. It doesn't disappear when people leave. It doesn't fade when life gets hard, because it wasn't borrowed, it was earned. So if you're in a season where you feel isolated, misunderstood, overlooked, don't resent it. Don't rush out of it. Don't try to numb it. Sit in it. Sit in that solitude long enough to find out who you are without the noise, long enough to build discipline without the deadlines, long enough to recognize what you believe without being told what to think. Solitude is a teacher. It's a mirror, and more than anything, it's a furnace. It burns off the fluff, the weakness, the excuses. It leaves you with the raw material of who you really are and the opportunity to shape that into something unbreakable. Yes, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's lonely at times, but so is greatness, so is purpose, so is every mountain worth climbing. Everyone wants the outcome. Few are willing to endure the isolation it takes to get there. But if you can survive that solitude, if you can lean into it instead of running from it, you'll come out stronger, sharper, clearer. You won't just be prepared for success. You'll be prepared to sustain it. Because you'll know, you didn't need a crowd to become powerful, you needed silence to become real. And that's the kind of strength that doesn't just inspire people, it transforms them. Let me tell you something, the world won't always teach you. Who you are is not defined when the cameras are rolling. It's not defined by your resume, your social media, your clothes, your title, or the names that applaud you. No, who you are is forged in isolation, when no one's looking, when there's nothing to prove, when it's just you, the quiet, and the truth. And that's the part most people skip. See, we live in a culture that teaches performance before identity. We're taught to chase impressions before integrity. You learn to show up, smile, impress, but not to pause, reflect, and understand. Understand why you do what you do, why you think the way you think, why you fear what you fear. But the answers to those questions, they don't come in the noise. They come in the quiet. They come when you're alone with your soul and can't pretend anymore. That's where the real work begins. In isolation, the layers start to fall off the layers you built to fit in. The masks you wore to get approval, the roles you played to survive, it all starts to fade, and what's left is the truth. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's broken, but it's honest, and that honesty is the foundation of real identity. When no one is around to influence you, you begin to ask, who am I without the audience? Without the schedule, without the expectations, without the pressure to perform? That's a tough question. Because if you've been wearing masks your whole life, that first look in the mirror is hard, it's disorienting. You might not recognize yourself. You might not like what you see. But that's the beginning of transformation. Because what you recognize, you can reshape. What you confront, you can correct. And what you accept, you can build from. That's the power of isolation. It's a construction site, not a prison. A place where the old breaks down and the new is built. A place where you stop echoing what the world told you to be and start becoming who you were born to be. Now hear me, this kind of self-work, it doesn't happen overnight. Identity isn't built in a weekend. It's not built by reading one quote or watching one speech. It's built by looking in the mirror every single day and doing the hard work of self-awareness, of honesty, of discipline. It's built by saying, I'm not going to keep running from myself. That means you stop blaming everybody else. You stop pointing fingers. You stop waiting on the world to hand you clarity. You dig deep. You journal. You pray. You study your patterns. You ask, why do I keep ending up here? What am I afraid of? What do I really want, not what they told me I should want? You start stripping away the noise. And when you do that slowly, quietly, powerfully, you begin to walk differently. You don't move to impress. You move with purpose. You don't talk just to be heard. You speak because you have something real to say. You don't follow just to feel safe. You lead even if no one follows. You become authentic, and authentic people are rare. They're not shaped by trends. They're not shaken by criticism. They don't need the spotlight to feel solid. Because their foundation was forged in silence, in solitude, in that sacred space where no one else could define them. You don't find identity in applause. You find it in the absence of it, when you can't lean on anyone else's affirmation. That's when your voice gets clearer, your values get stronger, your vision gets sharper. You start to realize, I know who I am even if nobody claps, even if nobody agrees, and that knowledge, that's power. Because the world will test you, it will try to label you, limit you, distract you. But when you've done the work in isolation, you don't fold under pressure. You don't get lost in the noise. You don't shrink for anyone, and you don't stretch yourself thin trying to fit places you've outgrown. You walk tall, not with arrogance but with clarity. Clarity about your mission, clarity about your standards, clarity about what you will and will not tolerate. And that kind of clarity, it's not just attractive. It's dangerous because it means you can't be controlled, can't be manipulated, can't be bought, because you already know who you are and the world didn't give you that. You found it in the silence. You found it in the storm. You found it when everything else was stripped away and you were left with nothing but yourself and God. So don't run from isolation. Don't resist the seasons when life feels quiet. That's the forge. That's the classroom. That's the sanctuary, and if you lean into it, you won't just discover your identity, you'll become it. You've got to stop living for the applause. It's a trap, and it's subtle. You start something with a pure heart, a dream, a goal, a calling, and somewhere along the way you start looking sideways. You start checking to see who's watching. You start measuring your progress by who's clapping, who's reposting, who's cheering. And before you know it, you've lost your center. Let me tell you, if you need the crowd to clap for you to keep going, you'll never finish anything worth building, because the crowd is fickle. Today they love you. Tomorrow they forget you. The day after that they criticize you. You can't rely on that. You can't rely on people to validate what you know God told you in private. You can't rely on likes, followers, or compliments to confirm your assignment. You can't build your life on echo chambers, because what happens when it gets quiet? What happens when they stop clapping? If your strength was in the applause, your purpose dies in the silence. And that's the danger. If you're only motivated when people cheer, then you're not self-driven. You're applause-driven, and that's not purpose, that's performance. You've got to learn how to clap for yourself. When you wake up early and do the hard thing, clap for yourself. When you show up when nobody else does, clap for yourself. When you choose integrity over popularity, clap for yourself. When you push through the pain and keep your head high, clap for yourself. Because those quiet victories, they matter. They're not flashy. They're not Instagram worthy, but they are the foundation of greatness. Everyone sees the final product. They see the awards, the stage, the highlight reel. But they don't see the months, sometimes years, of silent, thankless work. They don't see the nights you cried and kept going. They don't see the rejection letters, the loneliness, the doubt you fought off just to stay focused. And that's okay. Because real builders don't wait for claps, they just build. They understand that most of the progress you make in life will not be celebrated. It won't be broadcasted. There won't be music playing or confetti falling when you overcome your old mindset. There won't be a standing ovation when you choose to break a toxic pattern or start over from zero. No one's going to post about that, but that's the work that matters. The world will cheer for what you do, but only you will know what it cost. Only you will know the discipline, the self-control, the restraint it took to stay on track when everything in you wanted to quit. That's why you have to find your approval inside, not outside. Because if you keep chasing validation, you'll start adjusting your direction just to please people. And the truth is, the crowd doesn't always know where you're going. They don't know your calling. They don't know what God whispered to you in the stillness. So why would you let them steer the ship? Some people will only clap for you as long as you stay where they're comfortable. The moment you grow, evolve, level up, they get quiet. And that silence, it's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's often a sign that you're doing something right. You're not supposed to carry everyone with you. You're not supposed to wait for permission to grow. You're not supposed to lower your voice just because it makes people uncomfortable. You're supposed to walk your path fully, boldly, silently, if necessary, with the kind of confidence that doesn't flinch when the crowd goes quiet. Because the truth is, most of your greatest breakthroughs will happen in the absence of applause. The moment you finally break through a mental wall, there might not be a single soul around. The day you finally forgive someone and let it go, nobody's going to know. The first day you choose discipline over delay, nobody's going to post about it. But you'll know, and that's what matters. You'll know you're not who you used to be. You'll know you didn't fold. You'll know you didn't give in to bitterness, laziness, or fear. You'll know you clapped for yourself and kept moving, and that inner knowing, that's worth more than any cheer from the outside, because it's sustainable, it's real. It lasts when the lights go off and the room is empty. So if you're walking a path right now and the crowd has gone silent, keep walking. If you're building something important and nobody seems to notice, keep building. If you're healing, growing, rising, and the world seems uninterested, stay faithful. Your worth is not in the noise, it's in the work. So don't live for the crowd. Live for the calling, and let the silence remind you, you were never doing it for the claps anyway. There's a moment in life when you stop asking for someone to save you, and you start learning how to save yourself. That moment is when self-discipline enters the room, quiet, consistent, unemotional. That's your real friend, not the one who tells you what you want to hear, but the one who tells you what you need to do. See, most people are loyal to their emotions. They let how they feel dictate what they do. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel afraid, they freeze. If they don't feel motivated, they don't move. And because of that, they never grow. They stay stuck in cycles repeating the same day, the same excuses, the same regrets, waiting for some magical burst of energy to come fix it all. But let me tell you, motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Discipline, that's a resident. That's the one who stays. Discipline is not about feeling good. It's about doing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. It's about mastering your emotions so they don't master you. It's waking up early when it's easier to sleep in. It's finishing what you started when quitting is more convenient. It's staying focused on your goals even when distractions are screaming your name. Discipline doesn't shout, it whispers, it doesn't entertain, it trains, it's not glamorous, it's gritty. It looks like saying no when everyone else says yes. It looks like preparing in private for a future nobody sees yet. It looks like silence, repetition, structure, boring to the world but powerful to your destiny. Because let's be honest, life is going to test you. It's going to throw temptation at you. It's going to push you to the edge. And when that moment comes, the only thing that'll hold you together is your discipline, not your talent, not your charm, not your followers' discipline. When your feelings betray you, discipline stays. When people leave, discipline stays. When the applause fades, discipline stays. And here's the hard truth. Nobody can give it to you. You've got to choose it. You've got to build it brick by brick, decision by decision. Every time you do the hard thing when it's easier not to, you strengthen it. Every time you delay gratification, every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you show up without applause, you're not just getting closer to your goals. You're becoming the kind of person who can reach them, because talent will open the door, but discipline will keep you in the room. Charisma might impress them, but consistency is what earns respect. You don't rise to the level of your ambition. You fall to the level of your discipline. Let me tell you something else. Discipline is not punishment. It's protection. It guards your vision. It secures your future. It helps you say no to the moment so you can say yes to the mission. There are people right now with massive potential but no discipline, gifted but scattered, passionate but impulsive, creative but inconsistent. And they wonder why their life isn't changing. It's not because they're not capable. It's because they haven't learned to lead themselves. Your destiny is not waiting on more inspiration. It's waiting on more instruction from you to you. That's what self-discipline is. It's self-leadership. It's self-respect. It's saying, I refuse to live beneath my potential just because I don't feel like trying today. Now, is it easy? No, it's hard. That's the point. But let me ask you, isn't regret harder? Isn't mediocrity harder? Isn't knowing you could have been great but chose comfort instead harder? Discipline is hard, yes, but it's the kind of hard that builds, that refines, that strengthens. It's the hard that gives you back control over your life. And once you've got that, once you realize you can command your body, your habits, your time, you become unstoppable. Because you're no longer driven by emotion, you're driven by purpose. You no longer wait for perfect conditions. You move with intention, rain or shine. That's when you start to separate yourself. That's when people start wondering, how do they keep showing up? How do they stay so consistent? The answer's simple. They became friends with discipline. Not just on the days it's convenient, but on the days it's brutal. Because here's the real win. Discipline doesn't just help you achieve something. It helps you become someone solid, someone focused, someone trustworthy, someone who follows through, and that person, that version of you, that's the one the world's been waiting for. So if you're looking for a shortcut, you won't find it. But if you're looking for a way forward, a way out, a way up, discipline is it. Show up for yourself, set a standard, keep your word, take ownership, build the habits, respect the process. That's not just how you win. That's how you rise. Loneliness feels like a long, cold night, but even the darkest midnight ends on schedule, and the sun never forgets to rise. If you have sat in a crowded room and still felt unseen, if you have stared at a mute phone while hope dimmed in your chest, understand this. What you are feeling will pass. Those hollow hours are visitors, not landlords. They cannot own you, they are just passing through. Hidden inside that ache is an invitation to build something stronger than comfort. Independence. Loneliness is a signal, not a sentence. It tells you something is missing and dares you to fill that space with strength instead of sorrow. When the noise fades and the applause stops, you face the single most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. That relationship dictates how high you climb, how deep you love, how steady you remain when storms test you. The good news is that, unlike the crowd, you are always available. You never have to schedule your own company. You only have to show up for it. Most of us learn early to draw confidence from connection. We feel valuable when someone replies instantly, when our stories collect hearts, when our jokes earn laughter. But there is danger in outsourcing your worth. If applause can lift you, silence can drop you. If praise can build you, disapproval can break you. Independence is the antidote. It teaches you to produce your own approval, to applaud your own effort, to define standards so firm that no outside verdict can shake them. That inner stability is the difference between a reed in the wind and a rooted oak. Building independence does not mean rejecting people. It means reorganizing priorities. People become gifts, not lifelines, blessings, not crutches. You learn to enjoy company without needing it, to share life without surrendering the steering wheel. Friends feel the difference. They experience the freedom of your presence, not the pull of your neediness. Opportunities sense it, too, because independence radiates competence. Employers, partners, collaborators recognize reliability in someone who has already learned to rely on themselves. How do you reach that state? Become fluent in your own voice. Journal until your thoughts stop hiding behind cliches. Sit in stillness long enough to notice the difference between boredom and reflection. Read for wisdom, not for distraction. Move your body because it is the first territory you govern. Budget because your future deserves a stable foundation. Make small promises and keep them unfailingly. Each honored promise is a brick in the wall of independence. Each broken promise is a crack that must be mended before the structure can rise higher. Expect resistance. Loneliness will argue that independence equals isolation, that you are choosing self-sufficiency because no one else wants you. Do not believe that lie. You are choosing independence precisely because you value connection, healthy connection. You refuse to drag desperation into friendships like a hidden tax. You refuse to barter authenticity for acceptance. You are preparing a life so full and steady that when someone walks into it, they arrive as a guest, not a savior. Remember that seasons rotate. Some chapters overflow with company, family dinners, team victories, late night laughter. Enjoy them fully. They are part of the richness of life. But do not despise the quieter chapters, the ones where evenings stretch long. Those are the gym sessions for your inner muscles. Every hour you spend learning, creating, or simply breathing with a calm mind is compound interest accruing in a secret account. One day circumstances will withdraw from that account, and you will have reserves others never knew existed. Independence also prepares you to lead. A leader who cannot stand alone makes decisions from fear of abandonment, not clarity of purpose. A leader who has mastered solitary resolve can listen to counsel without surrendering conviction, and can weather criticism without capitulating to panic. The world needs that kind of steadiness. In homes, in classrooms, in boardrooms, and on the streets. Your independence is bigger than your comfort. It is a service to everyone who will one day rely on your stability. Finally, the day will come when loneliness knocks and finds the door locked. You will sense its presence, but its power will be gone. In its place will be quiet confidence, a deep hum of self-respect, a joy that does not need an audience. That day does not arrive like lightning. It is built word by word, habit by habit, boundary by boundary. But it is on its way if you keep choosing discipline over despair, truth over distraction, growth over grievance. So let the temporary ache of solitude drive you toward lasting sovereignty over your own life. Let the empty chair across the table remind you that you are still here, breathing, capable, and charged with potential. Invest this chapter wisely, and independence will rise like the dawn, bright enough to banish every lingering shadow, strong enough to guide others home. Let me leave you with this. You were not built to crumble in isolation. You were built to rise in it. If you can learn to walk alone without losing direction, if you can work in silence without begging for applause, if you can discipline yourself when no one is watching, if you can stare loneliness in the face and still choose purpose, if you can clap for yourself, keep your promises, and protect your peace, then you've already won, because survival is not just about staying alive, it's about staying true. It's about learning how to carry your own weight when nobody offers to lift it. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need attention to stay consistent, doesn't need company to feel complete, and doesn't need comfort to stay committed. The world will test you, people will fail you, seasons will stretch you, but none of that can break you if you know how to stand alone, not bitter, not arrogant, but whole. So don't run from solitude. Build in it, don't wait for applause, create without it. Don't fear discipline, embrace it, because the day you learn to survive alone is the day no one can ever take your power again. Now get up, get focused, and walk your path even if you walk it alone. The journey is yours, own it.